Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. Today is election day, and one of the things candidates typically do is make a lot of promises before the election. But after they're elected, they don't always fulfill all their promises. Well, in Pirkei Avot, our rabbis teach us, Emor mi'at v'asei harbe. Say little and do much. And our rabbis say there are those that say little and do much, and then there are those that make big promises. Emor harbe, they say a lot, but then when it comes down to it, they do very little. And our rabbis use this week's Torah portion and next week's Torah portion to illustrate someone who said a little and did a lot versus someone who said a lot and did a little. When Abraham sees his three strangers, guests, he runs towards them, invites them into his house. He says, please come into my home and be my guest, and I'll give you a little bit of water and a little bit of bread to satiate and satisfy your hunger. But then when the guests come into his home, what does he do? He runs to Sarah and says, bake cakes. And then he runs to Ishmael, his son, and says, take a good calf to prepare meat for them. And the rabbis describe how he gave them the best part of the animal, tongue with mustard. And then he brought them chelev, chamad, cheese, and milk, and he gave them an elaborate meal. So rabbis say this is what it means to say a little and do a lot. But then next week, when Sarah passes away, Abraham goes to Ephron to buy the cave of Machpelah. And he says, I want to purchase it for a burial plot for my wife. And Ephron says, oh, you're a very distinguished, honorable person. You don't have to pay, you can have it for free. And Abraham says, no, I would rather pay. I insist. He said, okay, if you insist, give me 400 silver coins, which is a very high price. That's an example of someone who talked a big talk, when it came down to it, didn't do anything. There's a famous story about a woman who came to a great rabbi in Russia before Passover and said, Rabbi, I have a halachic Jewish law question. The question is, she said, I can't afford to buy wine for the Passover Seder. And my question is, I have a cow on my farm that produces milk. Can I substitute 4 cups of wine at the Seder with 4 cups of milk? The rabbi said, unfortunately not. Wine has to be used specifically, and you cannot substitute it with 4 glasses of milk. But don't worry, I will give you money to buy wine for your Seder. The rabbi took out 1,000 ruble and gave it to her. The woman was overjoyed. She left the home. She left the home, the rabbi's wife, the Rebbitzin, turned to her husband and said, it's very nice that you helped her with wine, but a bottle, 2 bottles of wine cost 50 ruble, 100 ruble. Why did you give her 1,000 ruble for wine? The rabbi turned to his wife and said, my dear wife, don't you understand? If she's asking if she could use milk rather than wine at the Seder, then obviously that means she has no chicken or meat to eat at the night of Seder, because you can't have milk and meat. And if she has no money for meat or chicken, she most probably doesn't have money for wine either, for fish either. And if she doesn't have money for fish, she doesn't most probably have money for matzah for the Seder. She really doesn't have any needs of her needs met for the Seder. So I didn't just give her money for wine, I gave her money for an entire Seder feast for her and her family. That's the meaning of saying a little and doing a lot. Let us hope and pray that the candidates that are elected will live up to their promises and not just deliver, but over-deliver on everything they promised. Go out and vote. It's so important as Americans, and especially as Jews, who never had the right in many civilizations and societies to choose democratically their elected officials. So many times our ancestors did not have a voice. Thank God in America we have a voice. Let's make sure we use it and we cast our vote. And may God give our future leaders the wisdom, the strength, and the courage to do what's right for our world, for our country, for the Jewish people, and let us pray for our future elected officials. Have a wonderful day.